So hello everyone and welcome back to Netflix Football HD, and I cannot believe it has been 1 week since we resumed this channel. Thank you for all the love and support that you guys have been showing us, and we have crossed 1600 subscribers. We'll hope for 16,000 soon. We have got a mishap and I have also got a mishap. Anyways. So early jitters, whenever we are doing a United podcast, there has to be something going wrong because it's synonymous with the transfer strategies, the hiring, the recruitment, the managerial merry-go-rounds. And we're going to discuss all about that. We're going to discuss about Michael Carrick. We're going to discuss about Ineos, the transfer strategy, and everything else that comes under the hood named as Manchester United. It's a dream club for us, and it's a pleasure to introduce Akash, first time on the screen.
Thank you.
Akash, we are trying to be KSI just to look cool.
Welcome to the YouTube debut of Akash Ray with early jitters for Manchester United, because no good thing in United begins without early jitters. I used to believe this as a child. I started supporting the club from a very early age, and I used to believe this wholeheartedly, that every season where we started the league losing the first game was a sign that we are going to go on and win the league.
Earliest memories of that is Van Persie. When we signed him, he came on for Danny Welbeck in a loss against Everton. My God, I'm old. So we are both old.
Danny Welbeck is old. I was just talking to my father the other day. We were just discussing the same thing. I was telling that I have grown old. How do I know that I have grown old? Is the fact that the players we grew up watching have grown old themselves. We are seeing the last dance of footballers, some of them having the last dances. Roberto Martinez saying that Ronaldo will play till 2030. I don't know, he keeps on dancing like MSD. But yeah, we are old, and so have our heroes.
And it's an amazing take, actually, considering the length of time that it has passed. I could not imagine that 4 years had passed when I last made the streaming podcast videos that I used to make so passionately. And in and around, and giving a bit of a background of Akash. So like, he's my colleague from office, but he's from Kolkata, just like I am, and this has blossomed into a very good friendship, not just with United.
We used to beef, from beefing to streaming and podcasting together.
Yeah, I don't think beef is a good idea considering the current political. I'll not talk about that.
Nothing is going there apparently.
All good in Bengal, and I'll not hear your thoughts about that. But Akash, thank you for joining us on stream. Thank you for
welcoming and inviting me to the stream, my man. And it's good to be here.
It's absolutely amazing to have you, and it's also absolutely amazing to be a United fan at this point of time, because United finished third of a horrendous season, finishing 15th. I was speaking to my mother, and she asked me, like, so if United finish 15th again, would you be in that mood? I said, obviously. This is a thing that runs through our blood.
That is what we were talking about, early jitters, right? Last season we started with extreme early jitters and went on to the middle of the season. Thank you, Michael Carrick, for giving us the third place finish. We will hold that over number 1 of Arsenal.
So Jose has got competition in that second place position. Jokes aside, coming back, and of course losing to Tottenham of all clubs was absolutely horrendous. But Akash, Michael Carrick, he's a player that we have admired, maybe not as appreciated as the superstars or the Galacticos in this world football, but definitely someone who is a rock, who is definitely that before Sergio Busquets, I think Michael Carrick had started playing, and we actually understood his value in the Mourinho season, and when he went away signing Mattis, and in that period we understood what a deep lying playmaker or what a rock of a CDM we were missing. And he had a decent spell with Middlesbrough. We know all the problems about what he had. He came as an interim, he worked under Oli, he has his ideas. But do you think, the first question of the bat, do you think that is he the right man to take United forward, considering we have seen something of an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer before?
See, what I feel is, starting from Michael Carrick's playing days, as you mentioned, like comparing him to somebody like Busquets. He was the Busquets before Busquets, like a deep lying playmaker, right? And we have a saying in Bengali called "Daat thakte dater mormune," which means that as long as you have a utility player in your team, you will not understand his or her word until and unless that player is no longer. And Michael Carrick was just that. And playing in the position that he played in, he always had the tactician's brain in him.
Right.
So Ole was an out-and-out striker, and Ole not taking nothing away from Ole, he was a great footballer, he was a good manager, but the main qualm about Ole's permanent tenure was his lack of mixing up inventiveness in his strategies. He used to play it very safe. And Michael Carrick brings with himself the intelligence of a football manager. Take for example Pep. Pep was a midfielder. Pep was a defensive deep lying midfielder. That is how so was Luis Enrique. And these are some of the biggest names in world football today. And you can make an argument they might be one of the greatest managers of all time. So take for Xavi Alonso. Michael Carrick is a player of the same breed, where he translates his footballing brain as a player to his managerial brain. And that is what makes a difference. So I would say like he has shown us enough to get a place as a permanent member of the team.
Mm-hmm.
You might make an argument that there are no better alternatives at the moment, but there was Iraola. Liverpool is going for him. Apart from Iraola, I don't think there was a lot of options. Taking that into consideration, I think Michael Carrick is the right man for the job at this point of time. However, what needs to be seen is an interim job and a permanent job are two very different things. And the team that he got to play with for the rest of the season, last season, was a team that was playing for him.
Right.
Albeit, he did not have the choice of players. He was handed the set of players. Now he has the choice. And the same thing happened for Ole as well. What we need to look at is how the transfer strategy pans out. Whether Ineos delivers the players that the manager needs and the club needs, or it just goes by its own wishes and Jason Wilcox does his own bidding. So if Michael Carrick gets his players, I would like to see more inventiveness that I think I will get to see from him when the time gets tough. Whether he has a plan B or not is something that has not been tested yet. So I will not place my bets on him. I will not take my bets away from him either. So I'm pretty neutral about him, and I would love to see him have a go. In the situation of no better alternative, and I would really call somebody a better alternative than somebody who has already shown his mettle of being able to manage stars and being able to deliver results. So how can I say somebody is a better alternative when somebody is already delivering us what we want?
But honestly, I get all the arguments, and we have talked about this before as well, but there are counter arguments that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, when he came in, he was absolutely fantastic. Those many away wins, those many goals that we have scored. The transfer was not up to the mark. I know how much of an emotional tearjerker when Cristiano Ronaldo came on, and how, like, I'll have those reservations aside. I'll not talk about Cristiano in today's video because that would actually take it off course. And honestly, if Ole had been given the tools, and we see Michael Carrick playing a similar sort of a football where you play to player strengths, contrasting to Ruben Amorim's, where it was system based, it was more on paper, and everybody had a role. That might have been good. But what Ruben Amorim was trying to achieve might have been good. But the way he executed those, like, his tactics were questionable. Michael Carrick has at least got his tactics right. Right substitutions at the right time, the right tactics, like we saw playing Mbeumo, we saw playing Sesko up top. There was a contrasting difference. We saw even Amat playing on the left wing and although he did not get a lot of goals and assists from there, but he was genuinely brilliant in that Chelsea game that he played left wing. Now, bringing on to that, do you see a similar, what my question was, that do you see a pattern evolving? Because credit to Ruben Amorim for taking the trash out, but Michael Carrick has, we can say, the squad is behind him. Do you think it's just a matter of time until the same old structure repeats again? Loss, losing the dressing room, new manager bounce. Like, we've seen this, haven't we?
I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I'll tell you why. So you basically raised two main points. First is playing a player to their strengths, which is one strategy. The second is setting a system and playing the players according to your system, which I think most of the top managers in the world do, apart from maybe some of the best managers in the world, like Carlo Ancelotti or Pep Guardiola, who have a good track record of managing superstars. Michael Carrick hasn't had the opportunity to do that. And that's a different conversation. That's something we can get to once we get to that point, which we don't have right now. So, taking that into consideration, I would say what Ruben Amorim tried to create was the way forward. You have to set a system. You have to build an identity you can play with.
But losing matches is in the cost of an identity.
Yeah,
was that
so
worth it?
That is what. So as you said, credits to Ruben Amorim for taking the trash out. However, the club, how the squad, the dressing room had already turned against him, and we have seen this countless times in the modern game, where footballers more often than not do not have the temperament to change their own ways to play according to the manager's ways. We have seen players set in their ways. We have seen Luis Enrique beefing with Mbappe. We are seeing Mbappe having problems in Real Madrid.
Right.
So, but that's a conversation when we get to a player of Mbappe's profile, a high profile player, a superstar. Right now, I think Carrick, what Ole did was he used to play players to their strength only. He did not have any set system. He did not have a strategy, and it was not difficult for the opponent teams to figure that out. So I don't think Carrick is going to do that, primarily because he has a strategic brain. As you mentioned, right substitutions at the right time and all of that. So Carrick, I think, is starting out with playing players to the strengths because he needs to understand what the strengths of the players are. After that, he can push the players to their limits, which is what Ruben Amorim tried to do with a lot of players.
Like Alejandro Garnacho.
Alejandro Garnacho is the greatest footballer of all time. And it's a shame that Argentina are not going to be winning the World Cup because we do not have an Alejandro Garnacho. But I heard that Leo Valenti is out, and this is the chance to get Alejandro Garnacho to lift the World Cup and get the Ballon d'Or before another Lionel Messi steals it. No controversial topics in this call. But yeah. So coming back to the conversation about Carrick. So I think he is starting to, he has played the players to the strength so far, but I don't think he will stick to that because that's again a one-trick pony kind of a thing. He will try to implement his own style of play. I don't think he did the same thing. He used to play his own style at Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
So he will try to replicate that. He will be getting. I hope he gets the players that he wishes for in this transfer window, which is primarily which should be focused around the centre midfield. And we have the biggest miss leaving us this season, Casemiro. So
Do you think he is a miss? But I'll give my thoughts about that. But do you think Casemiro being a miss? Before we talk about Casemiro, if I break down Ruben Amorim, so a 3-4-3 system or a 3-4-2-1 system where you had three defenders stationary, and of course he wanted the defenders to shunt. And by shunting, if you remember, when a train actually, the bogies actually shunt together, is any one of the defenders, wherever the progression of play is, just go and ram that player. We saw that very effective against Arsenal in the FA Cup last season, where like Matthias de Ligt and Luke Shaw rampant at shunting the opposition. They did not give Odegaard an inch of space. And also he introduced an overload to isolate, where we saw the best of Brian Mbeumo and Ahmad, where they were interchanging positions and causing mayhem. Probably the best we've seen both of them play when they're on the same pitch. And I will not argue about that, but the gaps in the system were very much visible, considering the midfield. Because I want to say about Casemiro, he was third choice, and I technically think Casemiro does not have the legs to play in a two-man midfield, whether be it in a double pivot or whether be it as two number 6 as a number 10. He's almost like, think about it, if you put Pirlo in that Juventus midfield, if you put Pirlo with a Marquisio and have a Paulo Dybala up top, that midfield would not function. Pirlo will be Pirlo if you play a Vidal and a Marquisio alongside him, because he needs those legs. And Casemiro, as brilliant as he is, I have seen we have discussed this.
See, what I find interesting going into this transfer window is that I have had this discussion with a few other United fans as well, is Carrick going for a two-man midfield in the same vein as Pep, where he used to play two deep-lying creative midfielders who could ball play, who could run, basically two box-to-box midfielders. And so without a DM, for example, Ederson is one. He is not the like-for-like replacement for Casemiro. Right?
Correct.
So if we are going for and Elliot Anderson, we saw Elliot Anderson play against Manchester United. He was going up quite a lot. He was hooping balls into the box. He was the main assist maker for the Nottingham game, not for the Nottingham goal. So taking that, like look at our targets. We have Sandro Tonali, we have Elliot Anderson, we have Carlos Baleba, who might be the only player closest to Casemiro among these three midfielders, right? So what I feel is if Carrick goes for a three-man backline, that would I would like to see Lisandro Martinez in the center of that, a little bit advanced. So he has played as a CDM in Ajax before, right? So he has the ball playing capability. We have seen the ball playing skills of Licha. He just needs to stay fit. So a three-man backline, Licha being the creative pivot in the middle while also breaking up play with Delit and Maguire on either side, which would be a big stretch considering half of the time they're injured except Maguire, which would leave for the center midfield to be more creative and also link between the attack and the defense. Because let's be honest, we will have Bruno as the number 10 next year as well. Which would leave Mainu. I think Mainu has cemented his place in the first team now with the performance that he gave. Like, he might not be the most skillful player, but he can be one of the most tenacious players on the pitch. And with a player like Ederson in the mix as well, I am not thinking Ederson is going to be a first teamer. But whoever that may be, it might be Alex Scott, it might be Matheus Fernandes for the matter. Whoever it be, will be the right balance between. And that's what the modern game requires. It does not require a destroyer anymore who will just sit back and just do the dirty work. You need look at Rodri. Rodri goes up.
Basically, what you're trying to say is that we need legs in midfield.
We do.
Whether we play, so the reservations against Kobe Mino, and I think primarily where Ruben Amorim did not play him because of that lack of. He's creatively amazing. He's a very good ball progressor, decent passer. I would not say a world class passer. The only passing option is Bruno. And we've seen that when Bruno played to his best, Ole played Bruno in the number 10 position with a Juan Mata or a Paul Pogba and Bruno used to get a lot of space. And credit to Bruno Fernandes this season, lads, is because he's the only playmaker in the team, the only one that can probably pass a football.
Jai Jawan, Jai Bruno.
And he has been heavily marked, especially when he was trying to create. He should have had that assist. I'll break away. Should he have had those assists? Should he have had 30 assists this season? The amount of chances.
I think Bruno laughing at the end of the last game, just looking at the number of chances he created, and it's like a helpless laugh. Like, what more can I do for the team? What more can I do for you guys before you are going to finish? At the end of the day, he was like Thanos. I'll do it myself. Which is why he started taking shots from 30 yards out. Because, well, going back to Roy Keane keeps mentioning Bruno plays for himself and not for the team. If that was the case, Bruno will not be taking 30-yard shots. He will continue to pass, but he was still taking.
There was this interesting take, just to cut you off, there's this interesting take where in Bruno's interview where he said, Erik ten Hag asked me not to take shots from outside of the box and only to limit himself in certain positions, where his XG was the highest. In what, for viewers who don't know what an XG is, it's expected goal statistic. It pinpoints the position where the highest chance of a goal should occur from that shot.
Guess the XG of Liam Delap and Alejandro Garnacho from last season for Player for No Reason award.
Sorry, but that was brutal. I'll not speak about Alejandro Garnacho. So in those positions, Erik ten Hag asked Bruno to actually not take shots, and we have seen Bruno when he first came on, he was a long shot merchant.
He was,
and he was a successful long shot merchant. Now we've only most of Bruno's goals, while they were worldies, were mostly inside the box this season. I think Bruno has had 9 goals, 21 assists. And 9 of them, I think, out of if we exclude the penalties that we had, were mostly inside the box. I cannot recall one Bruno blinder from outside.
Absolutely.
Is this something, Michael? Because we've seen Michael Carrick's, Bruno or the team speaking about how Michael Carrick has given the freedom to the team. Because primarily he has said that I cannot teach you how to play. I can just tell you where the space is. This is important for me because space is what modern football is defined by. And do you think we'll see Bruno shoot a lot more, especially in the Champions League? We'll get spaces in the Champions League.
I don't know. Could be. Firstly, because as you mentioned, Carrick playing the players to the strength. So we have built a team which has Cunha, which has Mbeumo, which has Sesko, who is a very good ball holder. He has shown the capability. He can muscle up defenders. And we have shown the ability to play in and around the box. We have shown that we can take quick passes and make quick build-ups. We have Luke Shaw coming up as well, joining in on the attack. We have Dalot who is going in, who is inverting and going inside. So I think that leaves Bruno the opportunity to drop back and create from outside the box, which also allows him to take shots. We have Mainu who is also creating, who is also providing, who is also delivering. So I think the way Carrick has set it up is with majority of the goals coming from inside the box, which is a good thing because that would mean that we are building up well. We are creating more opportunities. We're creating more space. We are making use of the space which the opponent is leaving behind. So that is there, but that also leaves us that also leaves Bruno the opportunity to take shots from the outside, which is something that he likes to do. And let's not joke about it. Every midfielder would like a pile driver once in a while.
Every fan would like a screamer or a belter that we used to hear. A Steven Gerrard, a Paul Scholes. Let's not talk about him as a pundit.
About Paul Scholes.
Paul Scholes was my favorite player, United player that I idolized when I was in my playing days. I say that as if I was a professional footballer. I was almost close.
That I like is Paul McCartney now.
Not Paul Pogba. We will not go into that because that ended in a disaster. But Paul Pogba has recently come out saying that Michael Carrick knows what it feels to be a footballer.
Yes, he has played alongside him. So he knows the brain that Michael Carrick has going into every game. He knows how his strategies, knows how Michael Carrick sees the field from being in the middle of the action. So that gives Michael Carrick, like, take an example, somebody who's in the middle of the field sees the midfield,
Absolutely.
sees the field much better, like the analytical skill set.
Crow vision.
Absolutely. Would be much better than somebody who's sitting at the top. Right. So he has to look around everywhere. He has to see where everybody is. So it's like chess. It's like chess. The queen at the middle of the board can look in every direction, can move everywhere and dictates the game. Michael Carrick has the goods to do that. Will he be able to do that? Remains to be seen. But I am hoping. I think that he will be able to. Yeah.
So we'll take a few comments. So Akash, you have a fan. Sriporna Pike says, "Go Akash." So we are not letting you go just right now. DC60G, welcome to the stream. I think Carrick did well, but we only saw him limited for a number of matches. Next is a full season, both Premier League and UCL going on. The managerial skills will be tested, like Villa or Newcastle in the early. He brings a very good point. Carrick coming into United, we were already 5th and 3 points from 3rd when he took over. So that credit goes to Ruben Amorim. We could have been higher. That was the discredit for Ruben Amorim. And he just managed one game a season because this is the lowest guys we have played, 40 matches this season. Both exits in first round of both cup competitions. No Europe, not to expect Europe from 15th position. And also if you lose to Spurs, you better not play football.
Well, Crystal Palace is getting Europe and Chelsea is not. And
all hail Alejandro Garnacho. So yeah, the next Cristiano Ronaldo. But anyways, last time it was Arsenal and today we have an agenda against Garnacho, and rightly so. But yeah, so the Champions League coming in will test our squad depth. We saw how exhausted teams were, and also last season towards the end where fixtures were piling up. Under Ruben Amorim, we were one of the topmost teams, winning possession on the final third of play. Not gegenpressing, but United needs brains to press, and sometimes I see that brain fog. But Carrick, there's an organized press. Yes. When it's the second phase of play, Carrick lets them build because United do not have the legs to just go and press and then recover back. That exposes the back line, and that we have seen multiple times, especially if you remember the Reece James assist, right?
Yes.
And especially that half space in between the fullback and that centre back, where probably Licha plays, where he cannot come forward because the fullback is committing, their fullback is committing our fullback, and that leaves a space. And that is where we were targeted. Now that is the space probably where we saw, if you remember Morgan Rogers, right? Both goals, Manu Ugarte should have stopped that shot. It was his position. Does probably signing a Baleba or Hayden Hackney has been on the news, or even let's go ambitious, Tonali or an Elliot Anderson. Would be able to stop? Would adding those legs be able to stop and let us? We've seen the counter part. That's sorted. We've seen very good counters in this team. Finishing will improve on time. But will we be able to control? Because Carrick's main philosophy in Middlesbrough was always controlling matches. Absolutely. We have not controlled matches. Maybe some of them, but not as much as we'd expect. Would midfield additions solve that?
That is the target that Carrick is going for, right? To plug these gaps. And we have targeted players with the same profile which would be like fitting for these requirements. So I think like the expectation should be that. What remains to be seen is that whether the players live up to the hype, whether the players live up to their performance. And the main thing is, as you mentioned regarding next season we have a lot number of games more than what we played this season, and especially the Champions League, where we will be going up against every team, all the top teams, and nobody plays it easy in the Champions League, right? So the main thing that Carrick has to do next season, like for every manager for that matter, the main thing that he needs to solve is man management, in the sense resource management, where and how he would like to
That was a
players.
profile in Ruben Amorim, because minutes per game
Yes.
is what he used to focus on.
Yes, which is very important, and I think that should be the key factor, because like it's not the Premier League of the 2000s anymore. Every team is gunning for glory this time. Every team has the money. Like, take for example, West Ham is a relegated team and they're asking for 80 million for a player who they have to sell in order for their finances to balance out, right?
And on Akash, Matheus Fernandes, excellent player. We've seen that on Southampton. We've seen that on West Ham. Him not getting selected in a Portugal squad, and with paying probably what is reported 52 plus 7 million on add-ons is what the first bid was, as per my understanding. Do you think it's got, like, I do not see him as a ball winner. He was a number 10. He plays as a box to box who is robust. It's primarily forward thinking player.
Yes.
Do you think without signing that, not a marquee, I'm not asking for a marquee player. See the likes of Sekou Kone, brilliant scout that we have done. Similar, there are tons of central defensive midfielders right now. Maybe not the good ones. The good ones are all in established clubs. But Liverpool went out and found Wataru Endo. And out Tanaka from Leeds is excellent. And Japan being Japan, my favorites for the dark horses this World Cup. United somewhere are linked with out Tanaka, where they have been linked before. Don't you think we should be targeting Ederson, as you said, box to box? Matheus Fernandes, box to box.
Yes.
Tonali, box to box. Elliot Anderson probably can play that lone DM.
Yes.
Would an out Tanaka suffice?
Asian player in a United jersey means titles for the United team.
Well said.
So I would always love a Japan player in the team, and these Japanese players have the temperament. They put their head down into the game and they give their best, which is what we need. And if they have the skills, if they have the ability, I think that would be a good fit, very good fit for the team at a fair price. And Matheus Fernandes, talking about his Portugal call-up, not getting a Portugal call-up, I think I don't hold it against him. He's a very good player. He has shown that he can play his game very well. It's just that the pecking order is very high. The player
Samu ahead of him. We're seeing yesterday, Samu. Who is he? I even don't know that. Do you know who Samu is? Exactly.
Probably not. But yeah, I think Matheus Fernandes still, I don't hold it against him. He could have gotten a call up, but him not getting a call up is not as big of a deal as somebody who are making it out for Ederson not getting a call up in the Brazil squad, being a 26-year-old.
Yeah.
So while I don't hold anything against Ederson either, I think he is going to. I don't think he's a great baller. He's the like-for-like replacement for Casemiro, as people are touting him out to be, but he's a good squad player. He's as is being mentioned, he's the ceiling raiser, not the ceiling raiser, he's the floor raiser.
He holds the keys for the rest to play the notes. Where have we heard that before?
Oh no.
And talking about transfers, we talked a lot about transfers, and Michael Carrick, not like yesteryears, does not have the veto like an Erik ten Hag had for players. It's almost data driven, and it's good to have data science behind the practicality of a signing, rather than, okay, I worked with this guy, let's bring you on a referral system that you have in corporates, which messes things up, by the way. We're both speaking from experience.
Erik ten Hag and his referrals.
A great name for a sitcom, but yeah. Ineos being Ineos and the team that is there, let's talk about Ineos first.
But I would like to ask you one question regarding referrals. So Hayden Hackney is from Middlesbrough, right? If we go for Hayden Hackney and if we get him, Carrick, having played with him, having managed him, do you think he would be able to use Hayden Hackney to ideally, potentially plug the gaps that is there in the midfield right now?
I have seen, to be very honest, I've seen very little of Hayden Hackney, and he's exciting. He is exciting, and Championship is one of the most gruesome leagues in world football right now. He has the profile. He's very similar to Elliot Anderson, and I can see why the links are there. But he can, like, he's very fast on transition. He plays the 1-2s, the nips and tucks very well. Very good passer for his championship level. Is a very excellent game reading brain. But I still do not see that positional set. I have seen compilations of him because I do not watch Middlesbrough. My knowledge is limited to the compilations that I have seen. And I have seen scout compilations of where his tackling is very good. I want a CDM who tackles very less. Because if you're positionally there, you do not have to go and slide tackle. Because that is danger.
Yes.
Once you slide in, it's a yellow card. Player might get injured. There are a lot of possibilities. But if you're positionally very good, Casemiro, last part of the season was positionally very good, other than the parts where he was exploited due to a lack of legs in midfield and the lack of legs in defense where we could not play that highlight.
See, Casemiro was an intelligent footballer. He played with the likes of Kroos and Modric. So he knows his limitations, he knows his age, he knows how to play, when to play. So that is how he used to plug the gap. And he's a world-class footballer. Let's not even talk about that. But not everybody is a Casemiro, right? So I'm just hoping if we go for a player like Hayden again, I don't think we will go for him. I think Everton is.
He wants to go for Everton, yeah.
So, but a player in the vein of Hayden Hackney being in the squad would be a very good option to have.
Because we do not have any midfielders other than Kobe Mainoo in the squad. Manu Ugarte, Casemiro gone. There are no, unless you promote Jim Thwaites, unless you promote the Fletcher brothers. Tyler Fletcher was recently very good.
Tyler Fletcher literally bullied Carlos Baleba. So that tells you all about Carlos Baleba.
And talking about Baleba, right? I'm just keeping on coming back to Baleba is because he's fantastic player. Ability-wise, he's better than Moises Caicedo. This is my opinion, of course. Please don't come on and shroud hate on the comment section.
Whatever happened to Romeo Lavia? The next big thing from Southampton.
So we do not talk about Chelsea transfers in this. How many transfers has Chelsea had in the last 5 years?
I was just looking at this one rumor the other day where Newcastle have apparently gone for this random Swedish winger from some random Swedish club. Chelsea got a whiff of it and they've matched the offer.
And coming back to Baleba, guys, I've seen Baleba be balling in midfield. He's like a Paul Pogba who can win balls. He's that good. But his mentality, right? You've seen Anthony going back and ability-wise, we know Anthony has it.
Yes.
There's no questions about Anthony's ability. But the mentality. Coming into a United squad, having, it's not Liverpool where Florian Wirtz or Alexander Isak will get away with subpar seasons and I do not say that in any joke because Manchester United is talked about and people sell papers through Manchester United. And they will get bullied. A Roy Keane will bully you because he has played in your position. A Paul Scholes, people you've looked up. Let us think about us. We are 30-year-olds. We have looked up to Paul Scholes and Roy Keane. Players coming and playing in midfield for Manchester United will look up to Roy Keane and Paul Scholes. They're the cream of the crop in world football at that time. Roy Keane, greatest captain, one of the greatest captains that we have ever had, is Mr. Dependable. Paul Scholes, La Masia talks about it. But when they go on to a podcast, and I don't think that it is warranted speaking about your current players in that way. It's absolutely unnecessary. And Baleba, when he came from the disappointment of a failed United transfer, is whole performance dropped. Now, whenever Baleba mispasses, there will be minuscule videos made and everything will be blown up. And I do not consider Baleba in that mental fit that he has.
That is what. So, we tend to look at football from a very sport point of view. It's not that. It's much more than that in the sense that when we are looking at footballers, we're looking at how are they playing, how are they performing on the pitch. We rarely care about how they are dealing with the actual problems of life, how they're dealing with depression.
Their mental health.
Let's be honest, they are humans at the end of the day and they're just like you and me. So let's take the example of two of our own players, Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw. One had to deal with cyberbullying, if I can use that word. For years, we have seen the memes that have been made on Harry Maguire. And we have seen Luke Shaw being called fat, Luke Shaw being called Luke McBurger and whatnot. And he had to deal with injuries throughout his career. That's been one of the most plaguing things for his entire playing career. how they deal with it in their personal lives, their mental strength is what is most important. That is what makes comebacks. And that is how Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw made their comeback. You will attest to this fact that Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw started 38 out of 38 games for us last season. Says volumes about the way he has made his comeback in both fitness, and you do not do that without mental strength being there. And the same can be said for Harry Maguire as well. So, how you respond to setbacks is the main thing. And Carlos Baleba is very young. He needs right guidance. He needs Ted Lasso next to him. But I think if he can come back, that's up to him. But he has the skill, he has the ability. But we've also seen a Jack Wilshere not being able to come back from what he used to be.
Amazing player. We've taken me, man, back 20 years with that just one name,
So
Jack.
it's very simple. It's all about the mental block and how you can overcome that. And if Baleba can do that, Baleba can be as good as anybody in the world for that matter.
Absolutely. Take a few comments. Shayan Maiti, Shayan, welcome back to the stream. Missed you, brother. Carrick himself, being a brilliant visionary midfielder, knows how to read the game. I think whoever comes in and works closely in coordination with Carrick and Bruno, United is going to flourish. And he has statement to that. And talking about who is coming to work with Carrick, we've seen a host of backroom stuff being talked about. And taking me back to Ineos that we diverted midway.
अरे वो कौन था? वो Bayern का कोई?
Yeah, the assistant manager for Bayern.
Yes.
We were talking about that. So we'll have more details as I think players are a priority right now than backroom stuff. And I think that would be explored more closer to when the World Cup ends. And Ineos, if you remember last season, there's this guy.
Well, I would say that the backroom stuff is just as important, because you do not go into big 2026 with René Molestin and Mike Phelan in your backroom stuff.
Let's bring the band back together, boys. In talking about Ineos, right? And I keep stressing on the fact that we had this video, Gary Neville had this podcast with Jim Ratcliffe where a host of problems were being laid out in front of us in a season where United had finished 15th. This season, I don't think the problems have gone away. There has not been any overnight changes, but we have seen the form have picked up. Gary Neville talked about job cuts, Christmas dinners being missed, plans are there. Like, we've seen the stadium plans that are there. Yes. But other than that, I do not think that the problems have actually gone away, but the noise has. Do you think Ineos are doing a good job in what they are? And do you think if we are there and thereabouts, playing the same brand of football that we have had, top 3, top 2, I don't know if we'll get a shot at the Prem. We should, based on performances and additions. Do you think this chatter, the whole Roy Keane saga, the whole Paul Scholes saga, everyone just having a go at United and Bruno, would this stop for good?
See, I think that, as you said, that the problems have not gone away, definitely. But the way we handle the problems has changed. For so long, I think it's not just Jim Ratcliffe. Jim Ratcliffe just sits at the top of the chair and he just signs documents. He is not actually involved in the nitty-gritties of the solving of the problems, right? Because he has other things to do. So who are the ones who are actually solving the problems? Jason Wilcox, Christopher Vivell, the data team, which has seen a big rise in United. It had been in the world of football for a very long time, and I have no idea why United had not relied on that for so long. But now we are starting to, and it's starting to show. We have had so many signings last season. We have had Senny Lamens, a Christopher Vivell signing driven by data. We have seen Benjamin Šeško. It took some time to start his stride, but once he got comfortable with the league, once he got comfortable with the players he was playing next to, we have seen the best of Šeško.
And to give a stat on that very quickly, Senny Lamens won the best transfer of the season out of Ryan Cherky and a host of other players that are there. I do not even want to remember, but Senny Lamens has won it. Brian Mbeumo, Šeško, Brian Mbeumo, Benjamin Šeško, and your Matthews Cunha, all scoring 10 plus Premier League goals.
Yes.
That has to be data driven, hasn't it?
Absolutely. And the way we have played shows some data working in the background. Now, talking about operational activities that Ineos are doing, that would take me to the most recent discussion that is going on, the latest news about another ownership takeover and everything that is in the news right now regarding the Glazers choosing to sell their shares now. So that's interesting. Who is going to do the takeover? Who all buyers we have? If Jim is going to go for a complete takeover or not remains to be seen, which would influence the decision making going forward. But operational costs, cutting the salary, cutting the Christmas dinners. Let's just look at it this way. We are cutting down on the unnecessary fact that the club had gathered.
I get that, but you see 250 million not being spent on the transfer window. Nobody has said one word about it, but jobs cards, this, that. You are correct, because we had some bullshit department that we had been funding for the last 13 years. And it was done correctly, but the people always have an opinion. People always want their 2 minutes of fame.
See, you cannot please everybody, but sometimes the necessary might look dirty. And we have been so bad. We have been both financial. Let's not even go into the finances of the club. But looking at the game from a purely sporting point of view, the club was not good. And a major reason behind it will be the finances that back the game play of the club, right? And in order to improve the game, you have to improve the finances first. You have to improve the operational effectiveness of the club. And that is something that Ineos is rigorously doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And with the stadium enhancement that is in the place, I don't think you're talking of job cuts. I think we will see more redeployment of resources there, and we will be seeing more employment, because you cannot build the entire stadium by yourself, right?
And the stadium was fantastic. It looks like a trident. It looks fantastic. And we hope that there are good times for United. We've spoken about transfers. We've spoken about Carrick. We've spoken about Ineos. And honestly, the Premier League, this round, I think it would be very vital for Manchester United going into this season to have all their transfer deals sorted out.
Absolutely. Like we did last season. Before, like,
still Benjamin said, so, like, we targeted Liam Delap first. And Benjamin Sesko was the expensive alternative that we had.
Tells you all about Jason Wilcox.
We had targeted Antoine Semenyo, who ended up going at City. And now we are targeting Rafael Leao, the left-wing equivalent of Diogo Dalot. And we saw yesterday how Rafael Leao was. Better than Anthony Gordon or the English Garnacho after his recent... But he's a good player. He's a player I like. Not Rafael Leao, but Anthony Gordon. Marcus Rashford, left winger. We've seen, like, there's this, like, I promised viewers that I'll talk about Marcus Rashford, and so I'm saving the best, maybe not in this position, but the topic for last is Marcus Rashford. He has been a Manc born and bred, fantastic for the first 5 seasons, and suddenly he's larger than Manchester United. And I've spoken about this, right? I have had your comment saying he's just not tracking back and doing his duties, where it's a team sport. And you see Cristiano Ronaldo coming back and tracking his spaces for him. You see in an El Clasico, Marcus Rashford on the right wing, just waiting on the half line. Rafinha, Lamine Yamal, everybody pressing. Ballon d'Or nominees, but Marcus Rashford is just there.
Well,
this just cannot be based on instructions, right?
Marcus Rashford is competing with Mbappe for least number of defensive contributions in the league, in the top 5 leagues of Europe. But let's not.
But Mbappe has gone and scored 40 odd goals. So would you forgive a Marcus Rashford if he scores 40-50 goals?
I won't. And let's be honest. Marcus Rashford can play. Marcus Rashford has had attitude issues, but I think he can play, and he would be a very good backup option in the squad. He would be a squad option considering our transfer strategy this season, right? And this is a question that I posed to you in the previous stream as well, is that if we are going for 2 midfielders and we are going for a Lewis Hall, for which Newcastle might charge 70 odd, and I don't think that we can have an argument against that, because that is how the pricing of players nowadays have become. So with Lewis Hall having a potential 70 million bid, 2 midfielders, if we can go for 3, great. Left wing is something that we have looked at. So would you take Marcus Rashford as a third choice left wing after Punya, after Dorgu, which would leave us money in our pockets to go for a Robert Lewandowski for a season or two, whatever salary he may charge, giving the mentorship, the experience, and the eternal goal threat that Robert Lewandowski is alongside Šeško.
Lewandowski, we covered about this, but Lewandowski would be an Edinson Cup. No doubt about his fitness, no doubt about his finishing ability, top class, excellent. But still, I would rather prefer a Danny Welbeck. That makes much more sense, because if we are letting Marcus Rashford go, we would need that England quota, like the norms that the FA is that I forgot the word. What was that? Homegrown, the homegrown quota that would be there, and Danny Welbeck would come in as a Johnny Evans kind of a role. And Danny Welbeck was excellent last season. Remember how he ran past Licha just like that, and Licha was just like, Licha being a World Cup winner still could not deal with a Danny Welbeck.
See, what I feel is that Brighton are in Europe this season, right?
And Danny Welbeck is a free agent.
Oh, Danny Welbeck is a free agent. Okay.
That complicates things.
That complicates things, but I would still, being a fan of Leva, I would still say Leva would be the better choice. Let's see. Leva is 37, right? And Danny Welbeck is 35. Yeah. So there's not a lot of difference. Even if you go for Welbeck will be there for what, 2 seasons max?
Yeah.
But
Leva, actually, if you bring in Leva, you have to blame. But Danny Welbeck going through the club, you can somehow say, "Bhai, thoda bench pe baith ja."
No, I don't think so, because that would, as I was saying, going into this season, one of the biggest tasks for Carrick would be management, managing the playing minutes of the players. And Šeško is the only one there. Zirkzee is not an out-and-out striker. He plays as a false nine. He has good hold of.
And if Welbeck comes in, so Šeško top dog, Welbeck second choice, and a Chido Obi. We've not talked about Chido Obi in a long time.
Chido Obi,
that gives him room to grow.
It does give room to grow. I don't think that's going to be a problem under Lewandowski, because we are going to the Champions League next season and we would need big players for the big games. It's true that the big names show up on the big event. When the tough times go, the tough guys show up, and Lewandowski is one of them. We have a Casemiro who is leaving. We have a leader who is leaving. So we would need somebody with the voice, with the personality to lead the team when the going gets tough. I don't think Welbeck is the man for that occasion. For example, say there is a moment where we are losing by a goal to nil at, say, 88 minute. You would see a Casemiro going forward. You would see him spot the other players. Lewandowski is a player of the same vein. He has played with big guns. He has played with other big players around him, and he knows how to win. He knows how to grind out games, which I would just say the experience of being a top player at the topmost level is something that Lewandowski brings, and that is something that we would require going into the next season if we are gunning for any kind of glory.
My counter argument to that is Lewandowski, brilliant, 37 at the Premier League. He has never played in that. There will be flashes of brilliance, but you need to think about the wages, need to think about his game time, and you also need to think about how you're going to promote Benjamin Sesko if you keep pushing Robert Lewandowski as your main nine.
No, I don't think Robert Lewandowski is going to be the main nine. I think Robert Lewandowski, even if he chooses to come, which is a far cry, but even if he chooses to come to United, he would know that Benjamin Sesko, and I think he is a person with such a mindset where he knows that his time is done. He has already lived the limelight. He knows the next crop is coming up, and he is going to be a guide, a mentor to the next set of players. And that is what he is going to be for Benjamin Sesko. So we have to look beyond Robert Lewandowski or Danny Welbeck for that matter. Robert Lewandowski can teach a Benjamin Sesko how to perform in the semi-final of the Champions League when the going gets tough. I don't think a Danny Welbeck can do that. And having said that, I don't think
we have to go to a Champions League semi-final first.
I don't see Robert Lewandowski vying for a first team spot in the Premier League. I would see him being okay with a bit part role in the Premier League, given he's given the opportunity to show himself in the Champions League, where he will be playing against his compatriots. So,
and also Rohan says on the chat, Rohan Keys says Lewandowski would bring box presence, something will miss with Casemiro. Absolutely spot on. Can be a Cavani like impact. Ability. Sesko would get the proper growth curve, as you were saying, but like moving away from Lewandowski a bit is his like player colleague Marcus Rashford that we started the discussion about. I've seen a recent spin on PR where Marcus Rashford has suddenly started tagging Manchester United, and Manchester United suddenly started tagging Marcus Rashford in everything that is almost related to him, because he's our player. And this situation with Barcelona, I'd like to talk about that, is Barcelona saying that there are two options: either give Marcus Rashford to us for a season-long loan with conditional related obligations, or we'll pay you 11 million. Is Marcus Rashford worth, who scored close to like 10 plus goals, 10 plus assists last season, winning the La Liga? Is he worth 11 million? Are United in a rush to sell this time?
बार्सिलोना को बोलो एक और लीवर खींचे और 111 मिलियन दे, फिर हम उनको देंगे मार्कस रैशफोर्ड. Because as you said, Marcus Rashford can play. Marcus Rashford has turned up when he has been needed in Barcelona. He has scored important goals. He has scored in the El Clasico for that matter. So I don't think we are in any rush to sell. And albeit it might look like a Murphy's choice, Murphy's law to United fans, the worst that can happen shall happen for both of the players. I don't think Marcus Rashford is going to get the minutes that he would want at the
neither is he getting at Barcelona.
Yeah, so I saw Newcastle being in the mix for
because they need a replacement for Anthony.
Yes.
How ironic.
Yes, and I can see Rashford doing good in Newcastle, but I don't think we are in any rush to sell Rashford. And I would suggest if we do not get a good price for him, we can reintegrate him and he can play a bit part role next season. And I think he's going to come good, because when he does not have a choice, he will. I feel that he's going to put his head back into the game and is going to deliver for us.
And Michael Carrick being Michael Carrick may be the man management, but
I think they have played together, so that I think that plays a role in how their interpersonal relationship can play a part in Rashford turning up for United in a better
rumors were
fashion
actually
than-
coming out that it was not Ruben Amorim, but it was Marcus Rashford's removal was club led. I do not know, like data. Yes, Marcus Rashford has been like he's there for the moments, but not for the whole of it.
Yeah.
And one actually says we love Rashford and love is about letting them go. Slow claps, my friends. Slow. Any comments on love is about letting people go?
Let's change the channel to something philosophical and we will have a deep discussion on this. जहाँ पे हम दोनों रोएंगे और हंसेंगे भी, because after you let go, you only laugh about it.
Like, I also want your thoughts, guys. Do you want us speaking about other things than we'll have a separate segment where we can give you GAN, where we can listen to GAN, and if let us know on the comment section if you want us to speak about other things than football, maybe cricket, maybe tennis, maybe cooking. If you want to live closer to us, join, connect, and to us, let us know. Let us your thoughts about in the comments. Also, Super Sunny 0007, welcome to the chat. United got to play a hard game with FCB. It's high time now. It absolutely is. Beer bellies.
यार भाई ये FCB मत लाओ, सबको हरा देंगे next season in our dreams. But I am really hoping that I think we will be going into the next season with much more intent compared to how we started this season, and under Carrick also, where we were found lacking, where we were found inadequate, running behind the game. I don't think we will be doing that next season, because the preseason is here and Carrick has now had the time to understand his players. He knows what he's going for, and the players are behind the manager, as they always have been in the previous instances as well, at least in the very first, for the first few days. But this time the crop that we have seem to not be having the same attitude problems as the previous set. So I think we have players who are going to be giving their all for the patch. We have a bunch of Ander Herreras, my personal favorite.
What a player. What a player. Ander Herrera brings me back to all those days where United was just badge thumping and scoring bangers and marking the best players on the pitch out of the game.
I still remember this one photo of Ander Herrera on his last game. After the game was, the stadium was empty, everybody had left, and just Herrera was just sitting next to the dugout with the United logo going on in the billboard, and he was just sitting there with the ball in his hand, and he just wanted to be there. He just wanted to revel in the last few moments he got with the club.
The final glory.
Yes, and he was not even an English guy. He was a Basque born and bred. So that's what we need, players like him in the team. He was Kobe Mainu but better, and I think we have many more of the same in this squad now, which is going to help us next season.
Definitely. And honest and an ending note to that, is, as Akash brilliantly spoke about Ander Herrera, it brings me back 10 years where he was the best captain at that point of time after the slot being vacated by a Wayne Rooney. And Manchester United has always been about love. Like, it's the only thing that we have not been able to leave behind. And I do not think there were highs, extreme highs that we had in 2000s where Sir Alex was, of course, the undisputed GOAT. We have highs of the Champions League, back-to-back finals, Ballon d'Ors, everything. The glitz and glamours of Robin Van Persie, but it's been downhill probably 10 to 12 years since then. It's been, 13 years since we've won a Premier League, and Arsenal have just won that. And actually that gives me confidence that to build something, you need to dismantle it first. The dismantle session is over. Liverpool have got back to winning ways. We've seen that it's a process of culture where we were late on the scene. We'd always thrown money at fixing problems that never would have been fixed. And it is an emotion for us. And I hope Michael Carrick, his team, and Ineos understands how much this shapes up our everyday lives. If United win this season, half our problems are solved. We are all stubborn in terms of our lives. We are all stuck in terms of our lives. And that one weekend of 90 minutes can actually make a difference. So this is my request. This is our request to United board. If somehow this video ends up somewhere to the magic algorithm of YouTube, is that play to your hearts, play to your strengths, and don't be fearful of whatever might happen or might not.
आरसीबी 2 बार आईपीएल जीत लिया तो हमको कौन रोक रहा है भाई?
Don't be a Garnacho. So don't be fearful of any opponent. You've got what it takes, and United have always played well when they have had a front foot in the game.
This is another thing that I wanted to say, is that for so long we as a team used to give too much respect to our opponents. We saw this time take City and Arsenal by the neck and show them that we are back, and we are back for good, baby. And Pep attested to the same.
And I do remember that Manchester City game where Super Sunny was with me watching that game. And he's a middle-aged 30-year-old man. He was in tears. He was in tears when Mount had actually scored that goal, which was ruled offside. And I echoed his feelings. I was in tears in last season's Europa League final when we just gave up. And I can take a defeat, but I just cannot take the thought of my club, who has built everything into me, coming. You all know my story. I've always envisioned comebacks and never giving up. But when your club does that, I hope Manchester United this year has a wonderful season. I hope, let us do a fingers crossed. I hope Manchester United this season has a very good season, a very entertaining season. Be it the signings, be it the coaching stuff. Let's play to our hearts. Let's play to our joys. And of course, let's play in the biggest stage in club football, the Champions League.
Absolutely.
Any ending thoughts before?
Just wanted to say one thing as you were talking about us growing up. Manchester United is the club that made me the person that I am today. And I want that club back once again.
Absolute ending. Brilliant ending to the show. Super Sunny says, fear is crime, United is at rest. I thank you, all of you, for joining in. We'll be bringing you much more content around the World Cup. I've not yet had a word with Ranjit sir. He has had a bit of a setback in terms of his health, and I wish him nothing major to be worried about. So I'll confirm the podcast with Ranjit Bajaj sir very soon. But till that, there are rumors. I'll keep on posting as much as I find on. So do follow Netflix Football HD on Instagram. Do subscribe and like the video if you have not already. And we all can say glory, glory Manchester United, United till we die. But being there when the chips were down, we have done that. It's now over to you, Manchester United, to show us that faith that we have provided you. With that, thank you, Akash.
Thank you, man.
For coming in.
Just wanted to say one last thing. बाकी ट्रांसफर रूमर्स को जानने के लिए देखते रहिए घंटा खानेक संगे सम्राट.
The jersey is matching as well. No politics, but thank you guys for tuning into Netflix Football HD. Hope you had a blinder, and I hope you have a better rest of the evening. Keep on liking, keep on sharing, keep on subscribing, and I or we will see you again very, very soon. Have a great day ahead.